Okay, everyone. So I checked the first couple shows this week, and do you realize we went 59 minutes overtime? Because my thought was, I know that we had gone way past our allotted time this week, and I thought I would deduct that from tonight because I'm on the clock. We are unfortunately on the clock. There are other businesses supporting the voice of college football these days, so we're on the clock. Can't be the voice of college football first and foremost anymore. So I counted 59 minutes. So I thought I was going to take that time away from our 1 hour, unless we obviously kick into overtime. But that would give us a 1 minute show. So why don't we go a half hour with you, unless you want us to stay on longer. If you want us to stay on longer, we will be here. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. So that is going to be amended to 30 minutes. 30 minutes tonight. We'll rock hard for 30 minutes here and go at it with all of you, previewing week 7. I'm looking forward to week 7 in college football. I know that there are about 4 games on tonight. I have no idea what's going on. I was just down at the store. I was talking to my daughter all night, some other folks as well. Now here we are. So I don't know what's going on in college football. We will check the scoreboard. We have one decent game that I would consider a game of significance. Although, you know what, when it comes to the college football playoff, I believe we do have a game of significance in the group of 5 on Friday night. But I was thinking Rutgers, Washington, but also we'll check out the Friday night games and, of course, move our way into Saturday. The call-in line, my apologies there, because I do want to talk to all of you and do not believe that I posted the call-in link. And I need to do a better job of posting this in the description section of the live stream. But there it is. There's the call-in line. Give me a call. Let's talk a week 7 of college football. And please get my mind off of a few of the most recent subjects, both personally and also on social media, that I have faced and dealt with tonight. Inexplicable, just complete morons out there. Morons beyond belief. All right. Love the chat. Love to see the old timers here. We've got Tukey G. We've got Karen. Thanks so much for being here. We've got DDR 256, Mike 3883. I think it's been a while since we've seen Mike. Good to see you, Real MVP. And I can't wait for week 7. So Justin Kane, thank you so much for your comments as well. Let's crank up Dr. Buckeye, David Greenfield.
Yes. 30 minutes. So we're making this a shorter one tonight, huh, Mark?
I have worked way over this week. Way over. I got called into duty. You missed it.
What'd you get called
into duty to do the Michigan live show this week?
Whether you should get paid. Is that hazard pay for that, Mark?
It was only about a half hour before the show. I hear from TJ and John D'Adamo. One's sick, one's on the road, and they're like, "Can you fill in tonight?" And I'm like, "Well, these people even want to see me on the Michigan live show."
Well, hey, it's your largest fan base, Mark. You have to placate that crowd. It's not bad enough you go on Dace once a week. Then you got to go do that show. Is that how things work nowadays?
Largest fan base. And also, I was utterly shocked and surprised to see the warm welcome that I received from the Michigan contingent on Michigan Live. That there was only one that said something like, "Why do we got a Buckeye hosting our show this week?" And I kindly reminded them, yeah, I kind of started this thing.
Yeah.
This kind of thing. So I went back because I was curious. So as soon as John and TJ reached out to me and said, "Can you fill in tonight?" They must have been grasping at straws. I was the last option. "Can you fill in?" And I went back and it was easy to see because of the thumbnails had my pretty face on it for the number of shows that I did. So I looked in my last Michigan show. I did 146 Michigan live shows.
Wow. Jeez. You should get hazard pay for that. By the way, I will never be getting such call. I will never be getting such call. I will not be taking such call. I am not interested in doing such call. And if they're looking for a substitute for that show, I'll pass. Needless to say. So
you could host other shows here at the Voice of College Football, David.
Well, Mark, I wish I had your schedule, but my mind
The,
seems to
the,
be pretty tight nowadays as well.
I appreciate that. Just know that I don't know if we can fill out like a 7-figure salary for you like
Well,
you're accustomed to,
I don't
but
come cheap, Mark. Although if
yeah.
I start playing some of your bets, maybe I'll make some extra dough and be able to pay rent. So I saw that record against the spread. Not bad, my friend. Not bad. All right. Well, let's take a look at the docket this week, Mark. I think we got some big games this week. The Big Ten's got some really big ones this week. Let's start with Alabama at Missouri, though. Let's start in the SEC. What are your thoughts about this Alabama team right now? I like the way this team is rounding in the form. I mentioned that to you and Matt when we spoke earlier this week. I think Simpson's playing at a high level. I think they're spreading the ball around. Bernard's been another good receiver opposite of Williams, who's making plays. They ran the ball well last week with GM Miller on the ground, who had over 100 yards. They got Ryan Grubb running that offense right now. I think DeBoer has kind of situated that offense to where he wants it to be, and with the quarterback and the right OC running it. I think Missouri at Missouri could be a bit of a trap game. Prabula's done some nice things there at quarterback. Hardy's been a good tailback, having a big year. But you know what? Got to be honest with you, not real impressed about that competition they faced. Running up against the Raging Cajuns and Kansas even, and some weak competition. I know they got the win over South Carolina, but your thoughts on this matchup, Mark?
So Vegas tells us that Bama's a 3.5-point favorite on the road. So they see them as decidedly the better team, but not by much, but clearly the better team, being 3.5 points better even on the road in the SEC. It's a noon Eastern time game, as we see right there.
Yeah.
So you brought up the name Ryan Grubb, offensive coordinator. I gave the offseason projection of a conventional thought that Kalen DeBoer has been a highly successful coach at every level, culminating with the national championship game appearance with Ryan Grubb right there, with him, Michael Penix at Washington. Okay, then he has to deal with this thing that is Jalen Milroe that completely dominated the offensive approach. And I believe, although there were spurts there under Nick Saban where it appeared as though it would work, and shoot, a couple bad snaps away from playing in the national championship game worked, it still is not over a long haul a functional, healthy way to play offense. And obviously worked against Kalen DeBoer and what he likes to do. So with Ryan Grubb obviously moving on to the NFL. So my conventional thought was, hey, this is, I know that Kalen DeBoer is not as bad as what this Alabama football team showed in losing to two highly inferior opponents last year. I just know that he's a better coach. Now, is it going to be one of these situations where it's a bad fit? Maybe, but I believed in Kalen DeBoer bringing this team back. Obviously, I picked them to go to the national championship game, but I thought that the Ryan Grubb factor was going to be huge in this, putting him together with a conventional backup pocket passer. And Ty Simpson has been extremely good.
Yes.
Now he's going to have some challenges down the stretch in the SEC, Oklahoma in particular on defense, that are going to be very intriguing.
Yes.
So I really like this Alabama football team. I want to closely watch the run defense against Missouri because they got chewed up against Florida State on the ground. And also their run game against Missouri. I think that they could compete for a national championship being a generally pass first offense, not a Mike Leach offense, pass first 60-40, but they do need Jam Miller and the rest of those backs to be a factor.
I agree. They need some balance. I always said to you, as I said to you earlier, be interesting to see if they were able to keep Haynes and, not let him go the team up north. And they had the Haynes-Miller combination still at running back. Don't know if that offensive line is still quite up to Alabama standards, but I think even with Haynes' presence, that running game would be that much stronger, and they'd have that much better balance offensively. Interesting to see Prabula in this game. If you'd have told Penn State fans that Prabula so far this year has outplayed Drew Aller, do you think that they would have believed you, Mark?
Something?
Yeah.
Isn't that something? Because my thought, of course, just to refresh everyone's memory, Bo Pribula, backup quarterback at Penn State, but opted to leave Penn State before the playoffs started, if you recall.
Yeah.
Enter the transfer portal, which my thought was, well, if Drew Aller gets hurt, this is bad for Penn State. But I actually thought, as long as Aller's healthy in the playoffs, this is a good move for Penn State, because I thought they got too cute and overthought the whole Pribula factor in making him. Now, they didn't use him as a real quarterback. They used him as Tim Tebow freshman year quarterback.
Right. That's
Justin
right.
Fields freshman year quarterback, where they
Yep.
didn't let him do anything but run. And I just thought it really hampered their offense. I saw too many situations where he got stuffed and it was 2nd and 11 or 2nd and 9 for Drew Aller to come back into a red zone situation with a down wasted. But he is proven to be a legitimate quarterback with the entire playbook in his lap.
Isn't it interesting? James Franklin, more fuel to the fire. James Franklin fire here. He may have chosen the wrong quarterback twice, because they could have kept Will Levis over Mark Rogers' family friend Sean Clifford.
That's where I was going next
as their quarterback. So they may have made the wrong decision twice here. When you stop to think about it.
Yeah, that they stay with Sean Clifford, and the guy that they pushed off to Kentucky turned out to be basically a first pick of the second round, as I recall.
I was a little trepidation going there. I know how highly you think of Sean Clifford, Mark. I just didn't want to rub that in.
That was one of those situations where people were too hard on Sean Clifford.
Yes.
I had to stand up for him.
Yeah, you told people to pump the brakes, pull back a little bit.
He had a nice career at Penn State.
Yeah, he won some games. Again, he didn't win the big ones, kind of like Drew Aller, but he won
the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they beat a kind of beat up Utah team. So
he won a Cotton Bowl, won a Rose Bowl, won a Cotton Bowl.
Right.
Won 2 New Year's Six games.
Right, but he didn't win many. The big regular season games he was not very good at, Mark. That's for sure. All right, let's get to Indiana and Oregon, the big one here, Mark. I actually think this is going to be interesting. By the way, taking a look at the stats of both of these quarterbacks, they're amazing. They've combined for 30 touchdowns and 2 picks this year. You stop to think about Mendoza and Moore. Isn't that amazing? What's amazing to me, I have to compliment Lanning in Oregon. They lose their starting running back, their starting quarterback, their best wide receiver, maybe two starting defensive linemen, including their best defensive lineman in Harmon. And they've regrouped. And they're starting running back in James from a year ago. And they've regrouped in top 2 or 3 team in the country. Pretty impressive.
The 2 best teams in the Big Ten, arguably the 2 best teams in the country, may be better with less name brands on their team.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. One of the things that impressed me in that win over Penn State, and I know a lot of people felt, maybe the Penn State debacle, or, Aller's poor performance. Well, I'll admit everybody complaining about Aller's poor performance and poor play calling by the Penn State OC, was how well the Oregon defensive line played for a majority of that football game. As much as you're going to talk about the quarterback play in this game, I think this is an interesting game to watch to see how well Indiana has improved their offensive line from a year ago. Because one of the things, when they stepped up to the bigger boy competition, as I told you a year ago, their offensive line got exposed. It got exposed in the second half of the game against the team up north. It got exposed against Ohio State, and it got exposed by Notre Dame in the playoff game. So I think the trench battle, in as much as the quarterback battle, is a big thing to watch in this one. I don't know if you have some thoughts on that.
Well, I think that Oregon. I think that it would be interesting to know what Vegas's line would be on this game if they didn't have the names on the uniforms and the colors that they did.
Interesting.
I don't see much difference in the level of play this year. And if anyone has possibly the more important or more convincing win, it's obviously Indiana over Illinois than it is Oregon going to Penn State.
Right.
I don't know, and I'm going to find out. We're all going to find out on Saturday where Oregon really separates from Indiana. I don't know where that is. I don't know what positions those are. I'm not saying they don't exist. I just don't think that they're blatant. Uh, 1 week ago, we went into Saturday night's showdown in Tallahassee between Florida State and Miami, and I threw the points at Florida State and took Miami to cover and didn't even give it 1 second of thought, because when I looked at the positional units, I didn't see where Miami was not superior in every positional unit on the field.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily see that here.
I tend to agree with you. So I test better team all the way around, Miami or Oregon, just from the eye test you've seen so far.
Ooh, well, Miami is the most battle-tested team in the country. Oregon played what we thought was a top 10 opponent.
Yeah.
We'll find out, and they played better than the overtime would indicate, and obviously played in a difficult environment. So that's an impressive win. Unless Penn State just implodes, and even if Penn State implodes, I think we could look back at that game as being one of those situations where the final record of the team may not be indicative of how good they were at their best. We all know that follow college football, Penn State has an excellent football team. They may be coming off the rail psychologically. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But they were playing, they were playing a championship caliber game then. So Oregon was facing a top 10 team, a legitimate top 10 team in my mind, and they outplayed them.
Right.
And shouldn't have played overtime, but they did, and almost lost the game in some respects. Where Illinois now has shown against USC, that's about where Illinois is. They're going to play down to the wire, down to the last play of the game against a USC. I think that that's who they are.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting test. I'm leading Oregon, taking that 6.5, but Indiana has impressed me so far this year. Mendoza really has, and I'm buying that this team is upgraded from a year ago.
I tend to lean slightly in that direction as well, just because I could see it as a really good football game, but not down to the wire, and maybe Oregon tacks on in the final 5 minutes and extends, a touchdown lead to 2 touchdowns, or tacks on the field goal to make it 2 scores kind of deal.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to Red River, Mark. Is there any chance that Mateer plays in this game? Have you heard anything from your Oklahoma people?
I don't think that there's no.
Okay.
That's what I understand, that he's out.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, could that be the break of the season for Sark and Arch in Texas? Because Oklahoma is just, I don't know how many spots Oklahoma drops if they lose John Mateer. By the way, I'm hearing some NFL people say that Mateer, of all the quarterbacks this year, might be the best pro prospect.
I am Googling as we go just to make sure nothing's out there. So this is why we love to play the college football season, of course.
Yeah.
Who thought that Oklahoma was going to be? Now, the Vegas line doesn't make them the decided favorite, but I think in the minds of people, they are the decided favorite in this game. We had a caller last night who guaranteed that Oklahoma would win, said that there was no way Texas could win. That in and of itself almost made me pick Texas. We'll see. I have yet to make my predictions. But yeah, it certainly could be. It could give Texas, obviously an advantage. I think Oklahoma would probably be more like a 5 or 6 point favorite with Mateer in the lineup.
Yeah.
And, those teams probably win 65% of the time. So Oklahoma's decided favorite, but maybe Texas pulls off the win and that buys them some confidence and they figure some things out. And again, the mystery that is Arch Manning, because if you watched him against Florida, on occasion, he looks like he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, but it's
Right.
just so sporadic.
Yeah, I think that there's been some other people that have mentioned this. There's some real offensive line issues at Texas. They lost some key starters from last year. I think that's another issue that a lot of people aren't talking maybe enough. I mean, a quarterback's always going to get the attention, but yeah, I think they've got some issues in a couple different areas there. I actually do believe that the Oklahoma defense is legit and has improved. I think their front seven's pretty solid, and I think could cause Art some problems in this one. But I just don't know if they could still, without Mateer, and as much as he means to that offense, score enough points to win this one.
Well,
Now, that
let's
doesn't.
cut in with this then, David.
Go
Sorry
ahead.
to cut you off,
Yeah,
but
go
this
ahead.
was just came down in less than an hour ago.
Okay.
Pete Thamel, ESPN, John Mateer upgraded to probable Thursday on the SEC availability report, which we should get used to checking those out. I should check those out. But again, not being the full-time voice of college football anymore, those kind of things slip through the cracks. But 17 days after surgery on a broken bone in his throwing hand. And so this causes Thamel and ESPN to believe that he's going to give it a go.
Wow, that'd be real interesting. The other thing too is how effective will he be, coming off of that injury, throwing the football, particularly down the field, with that being on his throwing hand.
Yes, and they bring up the two aspects that we usually hear about with this kind of injury to a quarterback: ability to grip the ball, squeeze the
Mm-hmm.
ball,
Yep.
and the pain threshold.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it's bringing back painful memories of watching Danny White. He couldn't grip the ball on Thanksgiving against Minnesota in 1987 and threw a crucial interception in the overtime. Anyway,
that end of the Landry era was not a pretty thing to watch there in Dallas, Mark.
pretty,
I know,
but they should have won that game.
Yes.
So there you go. So I think that even if he's 80%, I'm just throwing a number out there, but they believe that he is a threat. Just put him on the field and Texas isn't going to know. And Texas's defensive staff is not going to know how effective he is necessarily throwing the ball if they can navigate him in the run game and throwing the ball underneath until they have to show something. They will eventually need to show that he can air it out and really deliver a pass. But that's intriguing. And obviously they're going to hide their hand until kickoff.
Yeah, I found that really interesting that they've already probable. That's really surprising, Mark. Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see how many times they choose to run him in this game, for that matter, too. Because he's been, obviously a quarterback that likes to use his legs. They've done some design quarterback run with him this year too. So
the backup quarterback, Michael Hawkins, is no future NFL quarterback, but he has a lot of experience. He played a lot last year. Played against the mighty Kent State Golden Flashes last week and threw 3 touchdown passes. But he's got a lot of experience, so it's not like Oklahoma is going to go into a shell and not be able to do anything with him. But certainly Mateer, being one of the best quarterbacks in the nation this season, that's...
Yeah. Well, I don't want to underrate somebody that took it to your alma mater, Mark, but Mateer is a different level if he's out there. Although, if he's not close to 100%, that's also something that could hurt them. All right, to the last two I want to get to, the team up north against USC, Mark. Let me ask you this. Is this just a classic, what we would call old school Big Ten battle versus a Pac-10 battle? Where you have a team that's really going to be dependent on the pass game and another team that's just really going to be dependent on the run game, and what wins out first?
I think that's generally the narrative, and it's generally accurate, but not to an extreme. No, Bryce
Okay.
Underwood's going to throw
Yeah, that's true.
22 or 25 passes in this game. He's in a position now where he's gone to Norman, didn't look good.
Yep.
His team didn't look good around him, so that didn't help. So it was partially him. He did not play well. I remember him. I have to go deep on these Michigan games now, David, of course, because I got to prep for these Michigan podcasts, and so I got to watch every. I know he's going to ask about Bryce Underwood, and so I go through and I watch every Passover. I watch everyone, and it's okay. What went wrong there? What went right? Da, 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 da. And yeah, he didn't play well, but they did not support him with a run game. The play calling was atrocious, etc. Now against Nebraska, not as good of a defense. He played better, and now he's got two big atmospheres under his belt. So the LA Coliseum's not going to phase him. The USC defense, after taking that big leap under D'Anton Lynn last year, not anything to write home about. And Michigan on the ground is a better version of Illinois, who beat up USC in the fourth quarter.
Remember, Khalil Mullings ran the ball down their throat a year ago.
When they had no threat of throwing the ball.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is if Mullings ran the ball down their throat, well, actually, I should say the trio of Haynes, a little bit of Marshall, and then design quarterback runs by Underwood do against that defense. And this is I heard Colin Cowherd say this is the biggest game so far for Lincoln Riley. And this is a game that he should, because if you look at the rest of their schedule, it's only going to get more difficult with Notre Dame and having to go to Eugene down the road.
Yeah, and this would be a third consecutive just ho-hum, lackluster, underachieving USC season under Lincoln Riley. So I can't argue with Colin Cowherd saying that. I don't think it's a slam dunk statement, but I have no issue with that.
Yeah, I think that I would lean towards their running game. I think their blitz packages could cause, the USC quarter. Am I pronouncing Maeva right? That's the correct. Maeva. Yeah. Okay, I wanted to get that right. Maeva and that passing game, some issues. Wink does do a good job of coming up with some blitzes. I do think if they're decent in pass pro, they can throw the ball against those corners, though. I do think they're a little suspect there.
Because Raiola is going to put up some points.
Okay,
you could put up some points.
I could see that game in the 30s, high 20s, low 30s.
Yeah, mid 20s, sure.
Okay,
that would be more my guess. My guess would be more in the 24-20 range.
Okay,
they played a 27-24 game last year. Good weather. Michigan couldn't throw the ball, so a lot of long drives, although they hit for a lot of home run plays on the ground. That's how they scored the first two touchdowns. And then USC actually outplayed Michigan for most of the game.
They did. Yeah.
It was Michigan early and it was Michigan late, and USC outgained them by a ton of yardage in the late first quarter to early fourth quarter.
Yeah, if they could have just made a tackle on Mullings, the running back, they might have been able to pull that game out.
Well, they would have. Yeah.
All right, last thought on the number one team in the country, the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm continue to be impressed about a team that lost its entire defensive line, both their starting running backs, their starting quarterback, and are they better than they were a year ago, Mark?
So this is a crazy stat that I don't know who to credit, that I saw that despite playing Texas and Washington and Minnesota, so 3 good to capable football teams versus 3 cupcakes in the non-conference last year, and then whoever the Big Ten opener was, I don't recall, but it was one of the low end of the Big Ten. I think it was Michigan State. That's who it was.
Yeah.
That this Ohio State defensive front this year against those 3 quality teams and a much tougher schedule, more sacks, more TFLs without those players that they had last year up front.
Yeah, it's amazing. I said coming into the year, I thought they would have the best back seven in the country. I thought they upgraded in some areas. I think Matthews is an upgrade over Denzel Burke at corner. I knew Reese could play at an All-American level at linebacker. Styles is better than he was a year ago. Caleb Downs is the best safety, maybe best defensive player, or one of the best defensive players in the country. I would say the defensive end from Miami right now might be as good a defensive player as there is in the country right now.
Yep.
But I think they're going to make like very difficult, although I think Altmaier's been good. I think the Buckeyes win this game fairly comfortably by at least 2 to 3 scores. Do you see this one being close at all?
Oh, sure. It could be close. It could be close. All right, David.
Okay.
Appreciate you being here.
Those are my thoughts. Have a good one, Mark. Take care. Good to see you back. Mm-hmm.
All right. Arizona State's taking on Utah on Saturday night. Big game there in the Big 12, of course. And the Utes took it on the chin against Texas Tech. Arizona State has mounted a couple important wins in the final seconds against both Baylor and TCU. We got Michelle Gardner showing up from Arizona Republic to break down the Sun Devils. Hi, Michelle.
Hi. Never a dull moment in this job, right?
Can't be. No. How are you sizing up the Sun Devils at this point in the season? I'll just give you the broad question to start us out.
Well, have you seen the Sam Levitt news?
No.
He's out.
Uh-oh. Who's their backup now?
Jeff Sims.
Oh, Jeff Sims from Nebraska and Georgia Tech. Yes.
So
okay.
no, I'm still trying to piece this together, to be honest with you. He was listed as probable yesterday, and now he's listed as doubtful. So he practiced this week. We're fortunate enough to watch every single snap in practice. The normal days we watch are Tuesday and Wednesday, and he did practice. So I'm not sure what happened between Wednesday morning and now. I honestly don't know. And I've got some calls out. I'm trying to find out more. But obviously, and the other thing is Kyson Brown is listed as questionable. So, wow, that's a couple big hits to take. With Kyson, it's an aggravation of the ankle injury that he suffered against Mississippi State. We did see that earlier. He did come back to practice, but he kind of wasn't full strength. But anyway, so that just broke literally at 7:00. The injury reports come out at 7:00 our time. So that's why I'm late getting back to you.
No, you're good. You're good. Appreciate you being here. And there we go. You can check out Michelle's work, of course, on Arizona Republic. There's her latest right there, breaking down the matchup between Utah and Arizona State. Huge game in the Big 12. Utah 5.5-point favorite. Getting back to Levitt, when he walked off the field on, did they have a bye week on Saturday?
They did.
Okay, that's right. So they had a bye week. So was there any thought from the previous game? Was that the TCU game?
Yes.
Yes. So they win on the final play of the game, basically, or the last minute, that he was banged up.
No.
Okay.
No.
So this happened in practice.
It's got to be something that's happened in the last, couple days.
Okay.
And like I said, I've got some calls out, and I'm still trying to figure this out. So I'm early in the process. Maybe I'll know more tomorrow. But I'm kind of still trying to flush it out and figure out what happened. But like I said, he did practice. He had some tape on his foot, but it didn't stop him from practicing. So I didn't think it was that big a deal.
Yeah, so it did surprise me that Utah was as much of a favorite as they are. Now with Sam Levitt's situation, I would encourage people to stay away from that line, because who knows? Because I think Arizona State's a better football team than Utah, despite being an underdog. Rice-Eccles a difficult place to play, of course. Gathering in these last two games that were nail biters against Baylor and TCU, what would be the concerns coming into the Utah game, aside from the Sam Levitt Jeff Sims situation, because if any Arizona State fans are aware of Jeff's, and I'm sure the hardcore ones have done their research, but he had some rough times at Nebraska.
Yeah, he did. And by all, I've talked to a lot of people, and actually going into a deep dive I did on Sam Levitt before the season started. Jeff Sims has been kind of the perfect teammate. I mean, not a lot of players would stick around when they're in their last year of college eligibility, knowing the likelihood of them playing was probably not very good, and still stick around. And that was kind of always the worry if something happened to Sam Levitt. Let's say Jeff Sims is not around. Now, who do you turn to? Because for Kenny Dillingham, let's say Sims wasn't here, to go into the portal and try and find a backup quarterback. No quarterback wants to sit. They all want to play. So I thought it was important to have that veteran presence in case something did happen to Sam. And even in talking to Sam's family, they said that Jeff Sims has been an absolute great teammate, has been nothing but supportive of their son, and he's been just the consummate teammate and been right there for him. So now we're going to find out. I mean, this is why you've got him. So, the concerns I had coming in, one was the punting game. The punter that ASU, their starting punter, has not played. And it's weird how he's listed on the report. He's listed as probable, but that's only because he's the holder. So he's going to hold on kicks and field goals, but is he going to punt? So, and I think that's an important thing when you're trying to flip the field. The backup punter is very, very new, and he's not been very good to this point. So that was a concern I had. And then the other was the offensive line. They moved their offensive line around a little bit more. They've got Ben Coleman back at guard when he had started the season at center, and they've got Wade Helton in at center now. So they've kind of moved the offensive line around a little bit. And then the worst thing that this team has done all year is third down conversions and red zone. So those were three things on my kind of radar as far as things that they needed to do well and improve if they were going to win this game. But the Sam Levitt thing throws a whole nother monkey wrench into this thing.
And just to give my 2 cents and be fair to Jeff Sims, I don't want to have some overriding blanket narrative here be inaccurate, because you know how things happen where, like Dante Moore, UCLA, he threw like 3 very publicized pick sixes his freshman year, and he carried that for like 2 years, that this is the kid that just throws pick sixes all over the place. Okay. It's kind of the same thing with Jeff Sims. I remember Jeff Sims, I believe his first start was the COVID year 2020, Georgia Tech at Florida State.
Yes, yeah.
Pulled off a win as a heavy underdog, 2 touchdowns plus against Florida State, pulled out that win, had a decent couple years at Georgia Tech, moved on to Nebraska, had a couple horrendous games, and unfortunately it was during the Deion furor that he was caught up in that. Game 2 was at Colorado. He had an awful game, got benched not long after that.
I think he was hurt. He was hurt too, and then he
he was hurt.
And then he never really got the job back. So, if physically you look at him, he's a physically imposing presence. He's 6'4". He's a well-built 6'4". He's just kind of erratic when it comes to throwing the ball. I got no idea what to think now. I'm telling you, I'm just, so I honestly don't. I'm still, like I said, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this and still trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah, I want to make some accurate predictions, and I got to deal with this situation. We just got done talking about John Mateer being probable unexpectedly against Texas for Oklahoma in that game. So 2 big quarterback situations in college football from a health standpoint. All right, Michelle, we appreciate you being here.
I hate to make it short, but I got to run.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Michelle.
Okay, bye.
All right, good stuff out of Michelle. We got Muley stopping by to close us down. Apparently, stick around tonight, so that's good. We'll make this short and brief.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, sir. How's it going?
It's good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, no, I'm shocked by the Sam Levitt news. I don't know how they're going to get their offense rolling without Sam Levitt, because at least last time I saw Jeff Sims, I didn't even watch him at Nebraska. I saw him at Georgia Tech, and it was some rough time. And forget the passing, but also Sam Levitt's one of the most dynamic runners in college football at the quarterback position. And I was excited because Jalen Moss was coming back too this week for Arizona State, and they desperately needed a second option at receiver. Because I was just checking, and there's no other receiver so far this year that has more than 100 yards on the season. Like the top, like I think the tight end and the running back had more yards receiving than any of the other receivers. It's mainly just been Jordan Tyson. So, but yeah, without Sam Levitt, I am pretty hesitant to pick Arizona State.
Absolutely. Any other games you're looking at this weekend? Anything else for us before we bid adieu?
This Tulane and East Carolina game right now is really fun, actually. If Tulane pulls this off, do you think this could be like a third American team in the running for being ranked?
Oh, to be ranked in the top 25?
Mm-hmm. You think they'll give American that kind of credit?
I don't know. I'm the last person to ask about the AP rankings. They're horrible. I don't look at them. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Hopefully,
it's inconsequential.
Well, hopefully they look at the video you made on the conference rankings, because you pointed out how good American has done this season. So
yeah, they've got a better record than the ACC. Thanks for pointing that out.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Yeah, no, that's the main one. As for the weekend, there's plenty for the weekend, but I'm just enjoying this Tulane game. So yeah, that's about it for me, Mark.
Yeah, I will jump off here and check that out. We've got a big one between South Florida and North Texas tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be a fun
conference.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one for sure. I still have a feeling that maybe South Florida's defense, because it's one thing to be dominant on defense, but South Florida's defense has on multiple games scored touchdowns. They have playmakers on there that force turnovers, score touchdowns, and really turn the game around. Like they did it against Boise State, they did it against some of the lesser competition. So I haven't really watched much of North Texas, but so I can't really say. But that South Florida defense, that's going to be the main thing to see. And if Barryon Brown and the team could at least, I'm looking more for like their not so much big plays or explosive plays, but making sure you can keep the ball on the ground, control time of possession. Then I'd say I think USF would win.
Ooh, look at that. 19 all. 1 minute left. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I guess we'll run and check that out.
Yeah, check it out, Muley.
Mark. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. All right. So we will check that out, and we will bid adieu. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Check out my picks. Usually top notch. Can't get it every week, but just about. Patreon's the best place to catch it because you don't have to sign up for the month-long membership. You can just catch the picks for the 1 week, and those will be released on Friday. Appreciate you being here. The Voice of College Football will be back on Friday night.